Today I'm going to share with you one of my more frugal tricks for being an artist. Now, being an artist is very expensive. Supplies are very expensive. You're always having to practice. That adds up. And then you have canvases, especially if you're an acrylic artist, you have canvases all over the place. I started doing a lot of paintings in a sketchbook, and that has saved me a lot of money. Also made it kind of mentally easier to just practice because it was like, no big deal. It's just a page in a sketchbook. And it's also great because now I have a bit of a journey of my skills improving over the last little while, over 68 pages, or I guess 34 sheets, which is really great once you've filled up a sketchbook. Now, today I'm going to show you in my sketchbook, and this is the one that I use. It's the Strathmore Visual Journal, the mixed media version, because it's it's fairly heavy paper and it works well for acrylics. Let me just take you through. So, this is the very first one that I did, and when I started this sketchbook, I thought to myself, I want to learn more about colors. And if you are watching my a lot of videos on my YouTube channel, you see I have a lot of color mixing videos right now, and this kind of set off that interest of examining my colors and how they work. I decided I was going to just take different colors, maybe ones that I haven't used that often, and test them out in a painting, and then I would note which paint colors I used, and hopefully I would learn from there. So what I do when I do a painting in a sketchbook is I tape it off just using masking tape, and then I put a layer of gesso on it. I always use artist quality gesso, but there are probably student grades that work well as well. So I just paint on a layer or sometimes two layers of gesso and let that dry, and then I can do my painting. And the gesso just helps give a nice texture to the paper as you paint on it. You don't have to. This is a nice kind of fairly heavy paper that is nice and smooth, but gesso just makes it a little bit of a nicer experience. One more thing before I start flipping through the different pages. If I only paint on one side, so there's this painting, and flip to the next painting, I don't paint on this piece of paper or this side of the paper because acrylic next to acrylic will stick together, and then you end up ripping your painting. So, but if you do want to paint on both sides, you can just use a wax medium. You just take a little bit of it, and it's just like a little white wax. I put a little bit on paper towel and then just rub it on, and it keeps acrylic from sticking to each other, but it's just as easy to not paint on the other side. So let me take you through this this sketchbook and what I've done. So I, for a little while, was writing studies. So this is a study of some painting I found on the internet somewhere, and I was just testing out these colors and just practicing painting trees and such. And then I put the date. So this is from 2021, and right now it is late 2023. So this is over the last couple of years. So let me just flip to this next one. So the thing about painting in a sketchbook is you don't have to have all of them be a really successful painting. This is what I would say a really not nice looking painting, but as part of my attempt to learn a lot more about colors, I just used two colors. Now, all of these also had white in them, but the actual colors of paint, this one just had two. So Permanent Rose and Jenkins Green, and I was basically teaching myself a little lesson of how dark can I make this color? Can I do a really, really dark background with two colors on the opposite side of the color wheel? And of course, yes, I was able to. Nice warm black color. Now, as a painting, this thing's hideous. But I learned a lesson, and that made it valuable. And it only cost me one sheet of my sketchbook. So let's flip to this next one. Here's another one, another rose. I was painting roses for a little while there, so I have a few of these in the sketchbook. This one's three colors, so a little bit more than the last one, but two of them are greens. So I just wanted to see what can I paint with this, what can I successfully paint, and I was able to do, I'd say, a somewhat successful painting. Not something that is necessarily my style, but it taught me a few things, so it was worth my time. Let's see what's next. Oh. Now, this one I just thought I'd show you because it's a bit of a lesson in making sure that your painting is dry before you close the paint book, or else you get your paint on the other side, which is not the end of the world. It was mostly dry. It was just because I had, for the stamens, I had put quite thick paint, so it took a little bit longer. But when I closed it, that was it. And now, of course, if you did have paintings on each side, you would have smushed yellow paint onto the other painting. So you don't want to do that. And this was, I'm pretty sure this was a study, but I didn't note it down. It was, I think I was testing out a new paintbrush as well with this. But again, there's those, just like that previous rose painting, it's the same 3, plus I added a little bit of yellow just to see the difference that it would make. Now, let's see. So this painting, I thought I'd show you because I used a stock photo online and painted it because it was a really interesting really interesting image that showed some interesting shadow and light, so I really wanted to practice painting that. And for this one, it wasn't necessarily about how do these different colors work, but I just wanted to paint something. But the notes that I made, because in the end, I thought this was a really nice painting, I was able to then repaint this onto a canvas. It looked a little bit different. I repainted it and then I sold it at an art show. Now this one, pretty sure this one's a study as well. I was just trying to practice painting water. It's not necessarily my style of painting, but it is a subject that I want to learn more about. So painting water and really practicing the darks and the lights of water reflections. And then of course I noted all the colors here. And you wouldn't necessarily expect to have used cadmium red in this. So if I ever wanted to repeat doing this, I have this information. And just, of course, I can look here and go, oh yeah, like where I probably used some of the cadmium red, which is probably darken some of these blue areas in particular. Let's see what else I have. Okay, this is another one that is not a beautiful painting. It was a 30-minute painting, and I marked it as a 30-minute painting. And I thought, I had some paint left over on a palette, and I thought, let's just see what I can paint in 30 minutes. And it had been sitting on one of those wet palettes for a little while, so it was a little bit thinner, the paint. So while I didn't get the opacity that I would probably normally get, it was still a really, really valuable challenge to do. And of course, I noted all the different colors that I used when I did this. Now, just one more sheet left to show you. Another paintings of rocks, and this was, if you've seen my video looking at the 2 different types of umbers, you've probably seen these paintings before. This one I thought I'd show you because this one, it didn't actually pre-gesso. I just went in and painted, so it is fine if you don't want to gesso. It works completely fine. It's just a little bit rougher and not as nice and smooth to lay it down straight onto the paper, but it works well. And then I only have 1 blank page left, and then that's it, and I'll be starting a new sketchbook. So a couple things you might be wondering, like, well, how much does the paper, let's see if I can kind of make it focus, how much does the paper kind of flex and bubble and things like that? And it doesn't dramatically, like I wouldn't try and sell any of these paintings. This is really just practice. If you've seen some of my other videos, you've seen me do a version of this painting. It's just meant to be practice for me, and just to learn more. And considering doing like a painting every day for 30 days, I would do that in a sketchbook rather than on canvases, because that's expensive and it takes up a ton of space. One last note before I go. You can get this in a smaller size. So this is, I believe it's 9 by 12. And this is 5.5 by 8. Sandpaper would work really nicely, especially on the go. And I have used these for gouache and things like that. I wouldn't use it for watercolor because it wouldn't work that well. But it's pretty easy to get watercolor paper, but it works well for gouache. So hopefully this has inspired you to start using a sketchbook for your for your acrylic paintings, because it really is fantastic. And for me, like I said, this first painting, I thought, well, I'll just kind of keep track of the colors, and it's really set me on this journey of learning a lot about colors and color mixing and what colors work well and what pigments are in each color. So it's interesting how much you can learn through over the time of painting through an entire sketchbook.